The first bear arriving in 2012 was a small cub at the time, although at this point, on January the 13th, 2012, this cub that would have been born in 2012 was really just a week or two shy of being a yearling. And this particular bear was picked up in Townsend by the Townsend police chief, Ronnie Settles, and the little bear weighed less than 20 pounds. And he'd been seen in a residential area for several weeks without any sign of a mother or any siblings around. And it actually took the police several attempts to capture him, but they finally did. And he remained at ABR until April, when he was released weighing 51 pounds. And he was given the nickname of Friday. Also on January 13th, as is true when we go through these hard mass failures and times when there isn't a lot of food, we just see one bear after the other, sometimes as many as 2 a day. So this was no exception. But also on January 13th, Officer David Sexton for TWRA admitted a second orphaned cub, again, just a few weeks shy of being a yearling. And this little bear weighed less than 25 pounds and joined bear 164. They were housed together. And in fact, in the picture, you see the two of them together. And he remained at ABR until being released in April, weighing a little bit more than 50 pounds. On January the 22nd, in Gatlinburg, the police there had been trying to capture a little female yearling that was obviously very underweight, weighed less than 20 pounds. And this particular little tourist had been visiting several businesses in Gatlinburg and had visited the area of the Skylift and several other shops and hanging around, and was finally apprehended at the Ripley's Aquarium, thus the name Ripley. And she remained at ABR and then was released on March the 29th, weighing 63 pounds. And at the time, curator Lisa Stewart's husband, Mike, they had heard quite a few vocalizations from this little bear. And so he made a recording of these vocalizations, and I'm going to play these for you. And you'll hear several different types of vocalizations that bears make on this recording. You'll hear some moaning, you'll hear huffing, chomping, and the blowing sounds. The recording was made at night, so you're not going to have a visual, but you are going to have the sounds. And these are sounds that bears make when they're anxious or nervous. So give me just a moment and we'll get that video for you. So in that video, you hear several of the vocalizations that bears make. You hear us talking about huffing and blowing, and then the chomping. You could clearly hear the bear chomping or clacking their jaws. You hear that called several different things. And those are sounds that bears make when they're nervous or anxious. Sometimes if you happen to encounter a bear, maybe it's on a hiking trail or somewhere, and if they're huffing, blowing, you could also hear her swatting against the cage or swatting the ground. Bears will do that, and that's the way that they're letting you know that you're in their space, you're making them nervous, they're very anxious, and if you see that behavior, you definitely need to back off. We also heard the low plaintive moan or a wail. That's a vocalization that bears make. That can be indicating that they're sad. That can indicate that they're hurt, that can indicate that they're scared. And in this particular incident with this bear, what you were hearing with a combination of all those vocalizations was just her being nervous and scared and frightened and unsure. I'm sure she probably sensed and smelled the presence of a human, and that was her way of letting that human know, you're making me nervous and I need you to back off. But I thought you would enjoy hearing those vocalizations. Those are, sometimes it's very difficult for us to capture those vocalizations because the bears, when we are down at the enclosures, they have good bear behavior and they stay hidden, and it's rare that we can capture those. So we're thankful that we had that in our files and able to share that with you. The next bear that came in was captured in Greene County and transported to ABR. And this was another little malnourished male, dehydrated yearling, weighed less than 20 pounds. And he ended up spending a lot of time with the previous bear, Ripley and Peak, and recovered from his malnutrition and was released back into Greene County in late March, weighing 60 pounds. So if you notice these bears that came in, it would just take a month or 2 months and they more than doubled their weight. And yearlings can do that. When we take in yearlings, they can put on weight quickly. So most yearlings that come to us, unless there's some other underlying condition, illness or injury, they can usually get released back out into the wild much quicker than, of course, cubs of the year that come to us and have to spend more time with us. So you'll see a pattern of these bears doubling, tripling their weight very quickly, and then being able to be released. The next bear that came in, bear number 168, was named Peak. Came in on January the 25th. Officer Kurt Henderson captured this little male yearling, weighing less than 20 pounds in Sevierville. He recovered at ABR with the other yearlings and was released in late March, weighing 55 pounds. Bear 169 was admitted on January the 25th, captured by Officer David Sexton in Sevier County, and he weighed less than 30 pounds. He received a lot of good nutrition here at ABR and overcame malnutrition, dehydration, and was able to be released in April, weighing 52 pounds. Bear number 170, nicknamed Hardy, came in on February the 3rd. And again, you see this pattern of every couple of days, these little yearlings are popping up, starving. That's what happens during times when natural food sources are inadequate. And we see that when there are hard mast failures. But this little bear was captured by TWRA officer Jeff Pierce and in Blount County, Tennessee, and he weighed only 12 pounds and was in very poor condition. But after receiving good nutrition here at ABR and in the company of other yearlings that were here recovering, he was able to be released in late March, weighing 61 pounds. Bear number 171, nicknamed Challenger, came in on February the 5th. TWA officer Kurt Henderson, this would be his second bear that he brought in 2012. He responded to a call from a Pittman Center resident about an emaciated yearling that had been hanging around their residence. And the little yearling was captured. And now this is February the 5th. So this bear is 13 months old and weighed only 10 pounds. You can see from the picture how pitiful this little yearling looked. He had to be closely monitored and given a special diet and time to regain his health. He did recover and was released in April, weighing 54 pounds. Bear number 172, nicknamed Eleanor, came in 2 days later. Officer David Sexton captured this little yearling in Pittman Center, also in Pittman Center. The little female weighed 20 pounds, was treated for malnutrition and dehydration, and was released in mid-May, weighing 58 pounds. Now, one of the things, both of these last two bears came from Pittman Center. One of the things that we saw in 2015-16 were bears popping up in some of the same areas over and over, these starving yearlings. And we wondered, could some of them have been siblings? So these were two bears that it is possible. They might have been siblings, maybe not, because when bears are starving, they're going to keep coming down into the lower elevations, and it's usually those yearlings that are popping up in residential areas where they don't know. So who knows? Just as we wondered in 2015-16, some of these bears could have possibly been siblings, but we'll never know that. One of the things that was in the notes about Bear 172 was she was kind of referred to as Mama Eleanor. She had a very nurturing behavior towards some of the smaller yearlings that came in, and she was able to be released in May, weighing 58 pounds. The next bear, Bear 173, came in on February the 9th. Again, Townsend Police Chief Ronnie Suttles captured this little yearling. It weighed 20 pounds. And in the notes, it was referred to that this bear was very spunky. And in fact, when they brought him to ABR, they were hoping to get a good look at him to see his condition. Is he male or female at the time? And he bolted out of the crate and ran straight for a pile of apples in the pen and immediately began to eat. And he was known for having a little spunky attitude. But he did recover and was released in April, weighing 45 pounds. The next bear that arrived, another one from Pittman Center, female on February the 13th, so near Valentine's Day, so she was given the nickname of Valentina. This one, again, TWA Officer David Sexton captured this little yearling in Pittman Center, and she was malnourished and dehydrated and weighed about 20 pounds, very underweight at that time of year for a yearling. But she recovered and was released in April, weighing 57 pounds. Bear number 175 was another bear from Pittman Center, came in on February the 19th, again by TWRA Officer David Sexton. She weighed only 15 pounds. She recovered and was released in May, weighing 41 pounds. Bear number 176, nicknamed Junior, came in on February the 24th. TWRA Officer Scott Hollenbeck captured this little male yearling in Cobb County, Tennessee. That's in the Newport area here in East Tennessee, weighing less than 15 pounds. The bear did recover and was released in May, weighing 54 pounds. So you can see these little guys, they're about the size of a 5 or 6 month old cub. And that's why sometimes we get these calls that will say there's a cub in my yard, and it will be January or February, and you know that's not possible for a cub, so you always know that's a small yearling that's very underweight. But these little guys look like cubs, but they were not. They were yearlings. Bear number 177, nicknamed Bella, came in on March the 2nd. Came out of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Ranger Rick Varner captured this severely malnourished yearling that weighed only 13 pounds. And the little female did recover and was released in April at a weight of 50 pounds. Bear number 178, nicknamed Parker, came in also on March the 2nd. Ranger Rick Varner captured this one on Foothills Parkway, weighing 18 pounds. And the person who actually saw and called and reported the bear got some pictures that you see here of the little bear. It climbed a tree, and the ranger was able to capture it by smearing some food in a hollow spot down on the trunk of the tree. When the little bear immediately climbed down to try to eat, he was able to grab it and put it in the trap. But he recovered at ABR and weighed 50 pounds when he was released back into the national park. Bear number 179, nicknamed Amethyst, came in on March the 3rd, the next day. Again, Officer David Sexton captured this female yearling in the Gatlinburg area, and she weighed only 10 pounds. So by March, now this little bear is 14 months old, just about. And so it's absolutely amazing that a bear could survive. And you can even see in the picture, if you look on her ears, you'll notice that there are ticks. The little bear was said to have been just infested with ticks and internal parasites, but she recovered and was released in May, weighing 32 pounds. Bear number 180, nicknamed Thunder, came in on March the 10th. TWRA officer Jeff Bishop captured this small male yearling that also weighed 10 pounds. And, as a testament to just the resilience and the survivability of bears in general, this little guy overcame the odds, just as the one before him and others that would come in after him, and was released in April, weighing 50 pounds. Bear number 181, nicknamed Tiny, came in on March the 12th. This one by TWRA officer David Whitehead, as Curator David, captured this little 10-pound male yearling. And you can see by the looks of him that he was severely malnourished. And we've talked to you before about one of the things that we see with some of these malnourished bears is this little crusting around the edges of the ears. And sometimes we see that takes a while to go away, but that's kind of common. You'll also notice that there's hair missing in different parts of the body, and you can just look at how tiny this guy is. So to have made it to March the 12th, weighing only 10 pounds is just amazing. But he did recover quickly and was released in April, weighing 48 pounds. Bear number 182, nicknamed Dell, came in on March the 21st. Again, TWA officer Scott Hollenbeck captured this emaciated male yearling in Cocke County, Tennessee, that weighed 10 pounds. So again, here we are in late March, and a little bear that weighs 10 pounds that has come in. After receiving a special diet and good nutrition, the bear recovered and was released, weighing 39 pounds. Bears 183 and 184 came in on May the 3rd. These were two sisters, nicknamed Loretta and Rose, that came out of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They were captured there, and they weighed about 30 pounds, a little bit underweight, and not able to find food. So they just needed to come to ABR long enough for the natural food sources to become sufficient for them to be released. So they weren't intended to be here long, but the sisters came in and put some weight on, and then they were released in late June, weighing 74 pounds, Loretta, and 69 pounds, her sister Rose. Bear number 185, Little Bit, came in on May the 17th, and Little Bit was a severely malnourished and injured bear that was captured in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. She weighed only 13 pounds. Now, this is May, so you think about a yearling, and we're into May now, and she weighs 13 pounds. She also had a very serious injury with a lot of tissue loss on her snout. This is possibly an injury from a larger bear or maybe another animal. But at that time, we had a curator change. Lisa Stewart had moved on, and our interim curator was Rick Noseworthy. Rick had been around since the beginning days of ABR, so he came to fill in the gap. So Rick worked with her, provided a nutritious diet and care for her. But there was one problem. This little bear did not care a thing for Rick. Didn't like him. I remember Rick telling stories about how feisty she was, and that she just would vocalize, not using very nice bear language. You can just look at this picture and see what a little spitfire she was. But she definitely was going to survive. Nothing was going to keep her from surviving. And she didn't withhold her displeasure at being confined and at having to be provided care. So we don't know who was actually happier when she was released, if it was her or curator Rick. Probably both, to be thrilled to have her return to the wild, but she weighed 33 pounds at release. And then in 2013, we got word that there was a photographer in the Cades Cove area that captured a picture of a bear in the park that had a scar on its snout. And so that was our little bit. And so it was nice to hear that in 2013, she was still out there in the wild and had survived and was doing well. It's always, we've told you no news is good news, and most of the time that's true. Every once in a while, you might hear news, and not that it's good, but just that that they're still out there and they've survived and they thrive. So this is one of those rare circumstances where when you hear something about a bear that you've had, that it was good news. The last bear of 2012 that came in was bear number 186, Colton bear, came in on August the 15th. And by this time, we had a new curator. That's when Curator Coy came on board in July. And Curator Rick Noseworthy was still on board, helping Coy learn the job. And so they admitted a yearling that had been captured by TWRA officer David Sexton in Gatlinburg. And this particular yearling had been hanging around the Park Vista Hotel, getting in garbage. And anytime you have a bear hanging around there, you have a lot of humans too, who want to tend to feed bears, and they're just in close proximity with bears. So he was brought to ABR just in the hopes that he could be rehabilitated, give him some time here, until the acorn crop came out, and then he could be relocated. So he was released in January 2013, at that time weighing a whopping 127 pounds. And so you see this picture. Colton was a very handsome bear, and his picture was the cover photo for the Smoky Mountain Field School catalog, and he certainly was a handsome bear. And we talked about the last bear getting news, and in July 2013, we received a call from Bill Stiver that reported that Colton had been hit by a car in the national park, and his injuries were too severe, and he had to be euthanized. So there again, as we told you, most of the time when we hear news, it's not good news. But we were pleased to hear that since his release, he'd stayed out of Gatlinburg. He was healthy. He had not been spotted around people or people's property anywhere. So he was thriving and doing good as a wild bear. Very sad that his story ended in that way, but we were thrilled to hear that he was out there surviving as a wild bear and was very healthy.